This is the second part of the quick flick through of the Polarwall installation method, and we'll start off with the U corner. This is how it all begins. We put the U corner down. This is an imaginary chalk line here shown on the outside. So we set our chalk lines out, we put the U corner down, and we put this on the outside. It's the outside U corner, and this would go down. It would be fastened down either by a nail, screw perhaps, or even shot fired into the concrete slab or into the concrete footing. Once we've got all our corners in, then we start to put the U-track down. Now you'll notice here that we don't actually use a U-corner on the inside, but instead we put two U-rails up to each other. That just needs a little bit of a trim on the end with a handsaw or a hacksaw. And once we've got our U-track down all the way around, and one thing I have to point out here, just notice there between the corner and the rail, and always between the rails, we're leaving a small gap, and the gap is, let's say, a little finger width, 10 millimeters, something like that. That's fine. And when we fasten the track down, all we actually do, all it requires is a concrete nail, a screw again, shot fired perhaps, and it actually requires only one fastening here to the centre of the outside rail. Do turn up on site and find there'll be 5 screws on this side and 4 on this side, whatever. It's not really required. Just one is sufficient on the outer rail in the centre. Again, you'll notice the gap there between the rails, small gap left between the rails, and that's showing the gap in a little bit more detail. It allows movement of the formwork, allows some expansion as well in hot weather. And then obviously what we've got is we've gone all the way around, we've got our U-track down, okay, onto the slab in this particular case. Just as a side here, we can use H-rail if the with a little piece of polystyrene underneath it as packing, if we have a particularly uneven sort of an uneven slab type situation. So once we've got all our rail down, we start to push the boards in. And here you can see the first boards going in, working from the corners in always towards the centre. When the boards go together, we butt them up to each other. So we butt them up to each other. Don't sort of keep pushing and making it tighter and tighter. There is some movement required in the formwork as it's all being assembled, and all that will happen here is that the material will start to compress, and although we are using extruded polystyrene, which has a very high compressive strength, you'll put this into some compression, and all it will do is the sort of material memory will then push back afterwards, and it'll push the corners out of square, which is something that's very undesirable and not what we want at all. You'll notice that as it goes on, we start to put the H track on next once we've got all the boards in position. Again, building from the corners in towards the centre. Here you'll see a little squeeze at the top of the H rail opens it up at the bottom. He's using an individual rail there, but normally we put on in ladders. And here's a ladder showing the ladder that goes into the corner. Now you'll see that we've cut off part of one side of the rail here. This is the inner part of the rail, and that's where our internal corner, our internal H corner is going to go. And on the next picture you'll see you'll see here this here and here. This is the rail that we've just looked at, and what's happened is that's the internal corner there, and the piece that we cut off that would have fitted in just here has now been put here, and then that sort of aligns the end of the internal corner there with the cut-off piece there. So that means that we can put the next ladder straight in. Obviously what we want to do is alternate at each corner. The thing to remember here obviously in the corners is to make sure that we have a tie across from the outer rail to the inner corner, and it's one of these things that we should build this in courses, one course at a time, and as each course goes on, just check that the each corner has got that tie on. Not the end of the world if it isn't put on. We can always fit it on at the end. And when I go on site to check formwork, generally find that about 3 courses up there's a tie missing. I just open up the formwork with a little handsaw, put my hand inside, snap a tie on, and it's done. So there it is with the tie. That's what the corner should look like, and everybody's surprised that once they put these corners on, just how rigid this corner is and how it all feels. here again we're seeing the gap between the H rails, finger width 5 to 10 mil, doesn't have to be measured. And once the first course is down, it's good practice to go around, lump hammer, piece of wood, put a piece of wood inside the rail, go around, give it a tap down. So bang it down, make sure everything's seated in position properly. And once we've done that, we've got the first course down, everything's ready to go.